Hello friends, welcome to Dungeons & Dragonfly, where I adapt various characters for use in D&D. I'm Dragonfly9078, and today I'll be building Lady Urbosa, the final champion from Breath of the Wild. First, a bit of background. Urbosa is the leader of the race of warrior women known as the Gerudo. She was friends with the Queen of Hyrule until the Queen's death, after which she took on a motherly role to the Queen's daughter, Princess Zelda. As such, when it was time to choose a Gerudo champion to pilot Divine Beast Va Naboris, Urbosa was Zelda's first choice. She fell in battle with Thunderblight Ganon, and her spirit was trapped until Link defeated the creature and set her free. To reward him, she granted him Urbosa's Fury, her ability to summon lightning at will. So what do we want from this build? Well, Urbosa was famous for her ability with sword and shield, with her fighting style being described as resembling a beautiful dance. She's also famous for her ability to summon lightning with the snap of her fingers, so we'll need various ways to generate and use lightning. And finally, the environment is a big part of Breath of the Wild, and the Gerudo Desert is especially inhospitable, so we need to be able to survive in both the heat of the day and the cold of the night. Looking over at ability scores, none of them really seem right to dump, so we'll be using a point buy. If you'd like to roll for stats, that's fine, just make sure that your strength and charisma are high enough to multiclass. We'll start off with a 14 in strength because, come on, have you seen Urbosa's abs? Dexterity will be 12 because we need to be able to walk and fight in the desert in heels without twisting an ankle. Then we'll put a 13 in Constitution because, again, we live in a desert. We need the endurance. Intelligence and Wisdom will both be 10s. Urbosa isn't particularly lacking in either area, but we need the other stats more. And we'll finish up with a 14 for Charisma because have you seen Urbosa's abs? The Gerudo are human, but they're not normal humans. The Keldon subrace from Planeshift Dominaria is tailor-made for unusually tall and muscular humans who live in cold places, so it seems like a good fit to me. Keldons get plus 2 strength and plus 1 constitution, making our strength 16 and our constitution 14. And we're naturally athletic and resilient, giving us proficiency with athletics checks and with strength saving throws. We're also Ice Haven born, meaning that we're adapted to living in cold climates. This doesn't help us against cold damage, but it should be enough for those chilly desert nights. Urbosa's actual rank is left kind of vague, but she leads her people and was friends with the queen, so I'm comfortable taking the noble background for proficiency with history and persuasion. She's also a big buff warrior who fights with a sword and shield, so naturally we're going to start off as a bard. Bards get to pick any 3 skills. Acrobatics will make us more graceful, Insight will let us tell when people are lying to us, and Perception is just always pretty good to pick up. Leaders need to be inspiring, and Bardic Inspiration will help us get there. Since we're at least 10th level, we get a pool of d10s equal to our Charisma modifier that refills on any rest, and that we can pass out as a bonus action to a creature within 60 feet. One time in the next 10 minutes, that creature can choose to add our Inspiration die to an attack, ability check, or saving throw that they make. Second level bards get Jack of all trades to help boost our lower ability scores by adding half of our proficiency bonus to any ability checks we make that don't already use our proficiency. We also get Song of Rest, letting any creatures who can hear us perform heal an extra 1d10 if they spend hit dice during a short rest. We'll pick up 4 expertises, 2 at 3rd level and 2 more at 10th level. Take Athletics and Acrobatics to boost our physical abilities, and Insight and Persuasion to boost our diplomatic ones. 3rd level bards get to go to college, and my first choice school is the College of Swords. We learn to use medium armor and the scimitar. Now, Urbosa doesn't wear armor, again, abs, but she does use a scimitar, and we can use any simpler martial weapon as a spellcasting focus as long as we're proficient with it. Sword bards get one of 2 fighting styles. Urbosa uses a sword and shield, so go with dueling for plus 2 to our damage when we're using a one-handed weapon and no other weapon. We also pick up extra attack at 6th level to let us make 2 attacks with the attack action instead of 1. But we came to Sword College for sword dancing, and blade flourishes are the way to do it. Whenever we take the attack action on our turn, our walking speed increases by 10 feet until the end of the round. And if we hit a creature as part of that action, we can expend a Bardic Inspiration die to use one of our 3 flourish options, though we can only use 1 per turn. All 3 of our flourishes add the number we roll on the Inspiration die to the damage of the attack, as well as having another effect. Defensive Flourish adds the number rolled to our AC until our next turn. Slashing Flourish deals damage equal to the number rolled to a second creature within 5 feet of us. And Mobile Flourish pushes the attack target back 5 feet plus a number of feet equal to the number rolled. Then we can use our reaction to move up to our speed to a space within 5 feet of the attack target. Of course, the big problem is that we only have 3 inspiration dice per rest to use for our flourishes. Luckily, Urbosa is a master swordswoman, and as such can choose to roll a d6 whenever she uses a blade flourish instead of expending an inspiration die, so we can flourish every round and save the inspiration dice for when we really need them. By the way, did you know that bards can do magic? Counter Charm is a performance that we can start as an action to give creatures of our choice within 30 feet of us advantage on saves against effects of charming and frightening for a turn. We can keep the performance going to extend the effect on later turns, but it does take up our action to do so. We also learn 4 magical secrets, which are spells from any list. We get 2 at 10th level and 2 at 14th level. Since it's a cantrip, Shocking Grasp lets us make lightning whenever we want, dealing up to 4d8 lightning damage to a creature we hit with a melee spell attack, and preventing them from taking reactions until their next turn. We get advantage on the attack if the target is wearing metal armor. Urbosa doesn't usually touch people directly to shock them, so if you want to flavor this as slapping them with a lightning charged sword, just remember that the sword itself doesn't do any damage with this. What Urbosa does usually do is snap her fingers and call down a bolt of lightning from the sky, and the best spell for that is Call Lightning, a 3rd level spell that summons a 60-foot radius storm cloud directly above us for up to 10 minutes, depending on our concentration. When we cast a spell and as an action on each of our turns while it's active, we can call down a bolt of lightning to strike any point under the cloud, dealing 3d10 lightning damage to any creatures within 5 feet of it who fail a dexterity save, half damage on a success. The spell is also somewhat dependent on our environment. If we're inside where the cloud can't form, the spell just straight up fails. On the other hand, if we're outside and it's already storming, we take control of the existing storm instead, increasing the damage by 1d10. For our 14th level magical secrets, we'll get some damage that isn't lightning based. Lightning and thunder go hand in hand, so let's get some thunder damage. Thunder Step is another 3rd level spell which teleports us to a spot within 90 feet, but also produces an enormous boom, dealing 3d10 thunder damage to every creature within 10 feet of the space we teleported away from who failed a Constitution save. Again, half damage on a success. We'll also take the 5th level spell Steel Wind Strike, another one of those funky ranger spells we talked about with Rivali. We flourish a weapon and then vanish, making a melee spell attack against up to 5 creatures within 30 feet, dealing 6d10 force damage on each hit. Then we reappear within 5 feet of one of the attack targets. We'll finish up our bard levels with 3 ability score improvements. With the first 2, we'll bump our charisma to 16 and dexterity to 14, and since our dexterity is high enough now, we can use the 3rd for the defensive duelist feat, letting us use our reaction to add our proficiency bonus to our AC when we're hit with a melee attack if we're holding a finesse weapon. Scimitars do technically count even if we are using strength for our attacks, so this should keep the hits off of us. We can up our AC even further by jumping over to Barbarian. Barbarians get unarmored defense, letting us add our Constitution modifier to our AC. Unlike the monk version of unarmored defense, the Barbarian version still lets us use a shield, and multiclassing into Barbarian gives us proficiency with it. We also learn to channel our Fury constructively. We can enter a rage 4 times per day as a bonus action, getting resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage, advantage on strength checks and saves, and plus 2 damage to the damage of our strength-based melee weapon attacks. 2nd level Barbarians get Reckless Attack, giving us advantage on our strength attack rolls, but giving other creatures advantage on attacks against us, as well as Danger Sense, giving us advantage on dexterity saves against effects we can see like spells and traps. We'll also pick up Animal Handling proficiency at 3rd level with our Primal Knowledge, and Fast Movement at level 6 to boost our base walking speed by 10 feet. This does stack with our Blade Flourish, making our walking speed 50 feet whenever we take the attack action. For our Primal Path, there's really only one option, and that's the path of the Storm Herald. We get a Storm Aura whenever we rage that applies different effects to creatures within 10 feet of us, and Storm Soul gives us a damage resistance and a couple of other useful benefits. Now, ideally, we would take the Sea Aura, which lets us deal lightning damage to one creature in our aura as a bonus action, and the Desert Soul, which gives us resistance to fire damage, lets us ignite flammable objects with touch, and makes it so we don't suffer extreme heat. Unfortunately, we can't mix and match. Whatever environment we pick for the aura is the environment we get for the soul. So we either need to take the Desert Aura, which deals 3 fire damage to each other creature in our aura with our bonus action, or the Sea Soul, giving us lightning resistance, a 30-foot swimming speed, and the ability to breathe underwater. Between the two, Desert is definitely the way to go. Resistance to extreme heat is more important to us than being able to swim, and we have enough lightning damage from our bard levels. For our last ability score improvement, we'll take the Shield Master feat. After we take the attack action, we can try to shove a creature with our shield using our bonus action. We also add our shield's AC bonus to any dexterity saves we make against effects that only target us. And if we succeed on a dexterity save against an effect that still deals half damage on a success, we can use our reaction to put our shield in the way and take no damage instead. It's not quite as good as just, having evasion, but combined with danger sense, we should be able to avoid a lot of damage. Taking a look at spellcasting, we're a 14th level caster. Urbosa doesn't do much damage beyond hit you with a lightning bolt, so let's see what we can use that for. For cantrips, we can charge our sword with lightning to give off light. Mending can use a small bolt to weld two pieces of metal together, and Thunderclap could be a Thunder Snap, dealing up to 4d6 thunder damage to any creatures within 5 feet of us that fail a Constitution save. Thunder Wave is just a bigger version of that, dealing 2d8 thunder damage to creatures in a 15-foot cube if they fail a Constitution save, and pushing them back 10 feet. And the Loud Noise could cause a sudden awakening, waking every creature within 10 feet and letting them stand from prone immediately. We could also surround a creature with sparks for Fairy Fire, preventing them from becoming invisible and giving creatures advantage to hit them, and Color Spray could be a quick flash that blinds up to 60-10 HP worth of creatures in a 15-foot cone. So we can blind, but the thunder from our lightning can also deafen. Blindness and Deafness can inflict either blindness or deafness on a creature within 30 feet for a minute if they fail a Constitution save, though they can repeat the save every turn to try to end the effect. And dropping a magically charged lightning bolt on something could definitely be enough to dispel any magic on it. Now that the build is complete, the question becomes, how good is it? Well, we have a wide variety of very useful spells, with high damage, good support, and effective debuffs. We're also very mobile, with a 50-foot walking speed when we attack, a teleport that also deals damage, and several ways to push enemies around to control the battlefield. And finally, we're great at avoiding damage. With Defensive Duelist, we have 22 AC, which can be increased to 32 with our Defensive Flourish. That's not even getting into our 3 saving throw proficiencies, one of which has advantage and pseudo-evasion, and our host of damage resistances. On the other hand, several of our defensive options use our reaction, so we can only use one each round. We can use Defensive Flourish every round, but the AC boost from that is unreliable. It's anywhere from 1 to 6 without using an inspiration die. We also have low intelligence and wisdom, so the right spells could give us a lot of problems. And finally, our Barbarian levels don't mesh super well with our Bard levels. We can't cast spells while we're raging, we're missing out on higher level spells, and our AC would be higher if we just, put on some medium armor. But then we wouldn't be Urbosa. The point of these builds isn't to be the most effective or powerful, it's to be the most true to the character. Dance around, swing your sword, blast Rivali's smug tail out of the sky, and look awesome doing it.
Out of respect for our princess, you may keep your lives. Now go!
I hope you enjoyed the build. If you have any feedback or suggestions of characters to build, please leave them in the comments below. I do have a backlog of characters to get through, but I don't have a specific order to them, so if I get an interesting suggestion, there's no reason I couldn't do it sooner. Thank you for watching, friends. I will see y'all later.